I've had to, handle so many responsibilities. Um, so let me know where you are watching me from, and let me know if I'm very, very audible. So today we are going to be talking about the untapped riches of African soil, and I'm going to be focusing majorly on agro real estate. Please, can I have my jotter? So on today's episode, this is going to be a high opener. It's going to be a blessing to everybody. So first of all, I want to apologize for starting very late. These are some of the busy schedules that we have. More importantly, if we what we're doing. So I want to apologize for starting very late. Today's section is going to be very brief, and by the special grace of God, tomorrow we are going to be talking about why Lagos properties are expensive, and I would also be exploring the untapped, resources of Lagos real estate. So today, let's talk about agriculture, and you agree with me basically that agriculture is the future, and there is nothing um, to rigmarole about. A lot of people are making fortune from agro real estate, and the opportunities that are there are endless. And I'm going to be talking, so for this week and other weeks that will be coming, I'm going to be explaining what many people don't understand, and then we'll be looking at some of the important things. So please, in case you are coming across this video for the first time, please do well to subscribe if, in case you have not, and please share our videos. We share valuable information. This is not, I don't do video for content purpose, like I want to go viral or something. No, I just do video basically because I want you to have an accurate understanding of what is happening in your home country, wherever you might be watching this video from, and to also enlighten you about what Africa has to offer. Okay, so please do well to subscribe in case you have not done so. So I want to start by talking about agriculture. So the first thing I'm going to say basically is that agriculture is an industry that it has not been fully tapped into by Africans. And the reason why many people are not indicating interest in cultivating their land basically is that there is a wrong perception or a false narrative that is being projected, okay, to people. And one of the things you need to understand basically is that because of the security situations that is mostly dominant in the north, the northeast, and some other parts of Nigeria, I would say it has become very, very challenging. And because of the fact that the government has been unable, okay, to solve this security situation, the cost of food has gone very, very high. The cost of living has increased. And one of the reasons why I decided to venture into agro real estate basically is that I've seen results. Sometimes a lot of people will tell you that someone told me, or someone gave me an analysis or a breakdown. Now, I am a living witness of the immense benefits of agriculture, and the African soil basically is not totally utilized by us. And the funny thing basically is that while I was driving to Abeokuta yesterday, I discovered a lot of abandoned lands basically that, see, if we know what we are doing in Africa, basically, we are not supposed to be importing foods. We are not supposed, you know, to be, there's something one of the presidential candidates said. He says, Africans needs to change their ideology from being a consumer into production. And basically, I would say I agree totally to that. Basically, I would also say that the government have not been totally supportive, to agriculture. But I'm not here to discuss the failure of government. What I'll be doing here totally today is to expose you to the hidden opportunities in Africa. So, and that's why I decided to tag this agro real estate, the hidden riches of African soil. So, I've been doing a lot of research recently, and my interest for agriculture started late last year because there's this narrative that is being pushed towards. There's this bias perception that we have, and because of that perception, we don't seem to value what we have as Africans. And at the moment, what we have is our soil. What we have is our rich soil, and it is very very untapped. You know, the reason why I tagged that topic as untapped basically is that many people are poor simply because they don't understand the advantage of our lands. They don't understand the hidden riches of farming. Recently I was doing a research, and I found out that some crop of young individuals um probably sold a truck of cassava, a trailer load of truck of cassava for 30 million. And you can even make as high if you have 1 ton of cocoa, basically in this year sold for as high as 12 million per ton. And um not to talk about other cash crops that have enriched. So the purpose of today's live session is to open you to understand basically that Africa has, a lot of potential, and we are residents and owner of these lands, we need to wake up from our slumber, and we need to start cultivating our lands. So the place we went to yesterday, I was making a carry of a land. I think it's like close to 100 acres, and when we got to find out the original owners of land, they told us basically that some foreigners has bought that land. And along the Jebudi Shagamu interchange, we also discovered that Indians are buying up our lands. And basically, my fear basically is that may we not get to a point whereby we have to start paying rent in our own ancestral lands, despite the fact that the Europeans have colonized us. uh, they are still dominating our resources, and this is very very sad. It's a sad reality, but it's a truth that must be reviewed. And there's this African basically is a source for raw materials for mechanized and developed economies around the world. And you need to understand basically that the reason why people don't understand that Europeans that have come to understood the potentials we have, or the potential our lands have, or potential of our resources, will never pray for Africans to wake up to the reality. And I was surprised when I later found out, I later realized that even our people in diaspora, there's this story of a woman I know that owns large acres of, so she's majorly into turkey farming, chicken farming, and some other things. And she's presently in the UK, and all the way from the UK she monitors her farm from that. So I would say basically that Africans are beginning to wake up, okay, to the fact that we need to take charge, or we need to take active control of our resources. It is very, very sad that the people that owns our farms, the people that are buying up our resources, are Europeans who understood this, or would I say they have foresight. Now, what is the good? In 2024, the Cocoa Institute of Nigeria recorded a massive sale. As at that time, 1 ton of cocoa was sold between 13.5 to 15.5 million. That is not all. We also discovered that the reason why the Nigerian cocoa, of course, Nigeria is obviously not the largest exporter of cocoa in Nigeria. We are not the largest exporter of cocoa. But I think there was a natural disaster or an outbreak that happened in Ghana and other African cocoa country, and because of that outbreak, people shifted attention to the cocoa farming in Nigeria, and the Institute of Cocoa recorded massive. So people who farmed cocoa or who harvested their cocoa last year made significant amount of money from the sales of cocoa. Now let's talk about palm oil production. There's a company that is majorly into palm oil production, and I was in a meeting with one of their staff, and we were told that they generated 1 billion from the exports and sales of palm oil products. That is not all. Then there was also another company too who are majorly into cassava production, and they're making money. Now, the reality basically is that people who are benefiting, okay, from the agro real estate in Africa will definitely do everything not to allow this information to go viral. And that is because of the fact that many people fear competition. And by the time people begin to wake up to the adverse opportunities that our soil offers, a lot of people have made billions and millions of naira majorly into farm. Now, there are different kind of farming you can do. Okay, the purpose of today's live session is not to go or to give a detailed explanation towards that. But the basic thing I would saying basically is that people who are majorly into fish farming made money. People who are majorly into plantain farming made money. People who are majorly into cassava farming made money. People who are into different sector of agriculture are making money. So what I'm trying to say basically is that we as Africans need to take charge of our land. Our soil harvest gold. Our soil harbors gold. Our lands are one of the basic resources or the natural gifts that God has given to us, and we are not supposed to be poor if we utilize this to the fullest. Now, how can you now go into farming, or what can you do to maximize farming? Now, in this video, I'm going to quickly explain the two types of farming. Um, Farming basically is capital intensive, depending on the one you want to go into. Now, if you are a real estate investor who have been following the different trends, ordinarily, if not for the fact that the Nigerian government have failed, okay, to tackle the problem of insecurity in the north, in the northeast, and other parts of Nigeria. Nigeria ought to have realized, or farming, agriculture should have contributed a higher percentage into our gross domestic product as a nation. But I'm not here to trade the blame games. I'm just here to state my point and expose you to the opportunities. Now, as a real estate investor, you see your neighbor there abroad owns acres of land. I know of a real estate investor I'm working with. She's in the US. I think I've given this scenario before. She's based in the US. She owns large acres of farm in Mowe. She also owns it in some parts of Abeokuta. And basically, she's farming palm oil, and she's also farming cassava and cocoa. Now, whenever this woman comes around, whenever she's in the country, she regularly visits her farm. And there was something I asked her. I said, "You are well to do. You are a citizen in the United States of America. With all the benefits that the country offers, why are you still tapping into the agro real estate?" The result she gave me, the reply she gave me uh, was quite amazing. Or should I use this expression, shocking? And she said their prayer basically is that they would have made enough money to the point that before Africans will start waking up and start taking control of our land is harboring gold when it comes to agro real estate. And this is why I've decided to do a live session to explain this. And by the special grace of God, I would also be going fully into farming next year, whether on mechanized or subsistence, depending on what I can do, at least for a start. Now, how can you now participate in farming, or how can you take advantage of our agro real estate? Now, one basic thing that I have come to realize is that there is no amount of words that will be said if you still harbor hatred for your own. Now, there have been times that I've had conversations, okay, with a lot of people, and one of the things, or one of the responses I have gotten basically is due to the fact that people still talk out of anger, out of annoyance, basically, which I understand. I've seen instances whereby people have had traumatic experience. A lot of people have had, not so good encounters when they were in Lagos or when they were in their home country. However, if we choose to live our lives based on past experience or based on past hurts, we will be missing out the opportunities, the investment opportunities that you can, fully take advantage of. And the most important thing, or the most juicy part of it, is that you don't even have to live where you are before you can start investing in agro real estate. And that is so I'll be dedicating a larger session of this live session to explain the different kind of farming, the farming projects that we have, and how you can be part of it. And I'll also be explaining in details the procedures and the duration for planting and harvesting, so that we will be able to explain how the farming works. So, despite the fact that agriculture is very, very lucrative, agriculture is rewarding, I also need to explain the fact that it is not a rocket science. So, it takes a while for you to start earning from agriculture. So, let's look at the two types of agriculture offers that I have, and I will explain to you how they work, and I would also explain how you can be part of it. Now, there are a lot of companies, agro real estate companies, so there are numerous them, and I would also say that it is impossible for me to be in all of them. So I have to be very honest. If there's something that I have done in time past that many people will credit me for, is the fact that I'm very honest. Okay, so I know of Palm Crest, I know of Palm City, I know of Aroko Farm. There are numerous one. Please, in case I've forgotten any, you can drop any of them in the comment section. Let us interact. So I want today's live session to be as interactive as possible, so that we can exchange ideas and then learn, from each other. So there are numerous of them. I know of the Palm Ridge Gardens. I know of the, of course, the New Generation Farm. So there are numerous of them. And one of the things I would say basically is that, are they good farming projects? Now, let me quickly say this. The first thing you need to understand is that before a developer, okay, will bring a farming opportunities to you, say, okay, fine, buy this land, we'll cultivate. I found out that majority of these people have made tons of money. So it's not as if they need the money you are using to buy from them. No. Basically, I would say that many of them are extending these opportunities to, to people based on their own personal generosity, basically. So there are numerous agro real estate companies offering different investment opportunities. So there are numerous. In case I probably forgot, please, in the course of this session, if you remember any, you can drop it on the comment section and let us have um, an interaction. Now, Out of those agro real estate, I have worked with probably not everybody, but two. The first one I'll be talking about is the Palm Rich by Asset Rise. I have a lot of investors with them, and I have um, a lot of people who have bought also from them to Palm Rich. Now, when I started working with Palm Rich, initially when they pitched their ideas to me, I was very, very reluctant. And the reason why I was reluctant basically is due to the fact that, hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. The reason why I was reluctant basically is that I honestly do not know them so well. And I needed to do my own personal research and find out if it's not going to be some of the bad previous experiences that we've had in time past. And by the time I was able to reach a conclusions before them, for them, I saw a lot of good testimonial videos from people who have bought, and that helped me to understand basically that they are credible. Now, the ideas that is being adopted by many real estate companies were originally pioneered by the Palm Rich. And what they have done in time past, I've seen their farm in Epe, and I've seen the one they also have in Ibadan. Though I've not gone to the phase 7 and phase 8 that they have in um Abeokuta. Funny enough, Abeokuta is actually my hometown. So I've not seen the one they have in Abeokuta. But one of the things I can tell you basically about them is their area of expertise. And from the record, the developer, the farmer for Palm Bridge happens to, come from a family whose parents are majorly into palm oil production. So I would say that he gathered, the expertise from his parents to start the Palm Ridge. Now, are they reliable? To say they are reliable is an understatement. They are experts in the area of what? Palm oil production. And the reason why I say they are very expert basically is that their system of planting, their quickness in allocating, and the result they have achieved so far basically has been overwhelming. Now, apart from that, they also maintain a higher level of transparency to the point that they carry every investor's. In fact, Palm Rich, I stand to be corrected. There might be others, but Palm Rich is the only agro real estate company that holds regular meetings with their investors to brief them on how their cropping is doing, how their seedlings are doing, to give them a recorded, information, and at the same time, pay as at when due. So, with what I've seen, if anybody is saying, okay, fine, I want to invest I want to go into palm oil production, and I'm not presently in the country, and I want someone to farm it on my behalf, harvest for me, and remit me. For me as an individual, I will recommend them. Now, my recommendation is not based on the fact that what people have said or the testimony I've seen. My recommendation basically is that we have done a critical analysis on their area of expertise and their model of farming. And you can agree with me to an extent that these guys are experts in palm oil production. And there are a couple of other companies that are also. Now, for those who are not majorly into agriculture, they have hired experts who have results in this regard, and they've done it. So, what I'm trying to say in essence basically is that you don't need to be in Nigeria before you can start earning, or before you can start tapping the hidden resources in our agro real estate. Now, their mode of operation is quite simple, and I would say it is also impressive as well. Now, their mode of operation is based on the fact that you buy the land, you pay administrative fees. The administrative fee basically has to do with your seedlings, the planting, the cultivation, the harvesting, the processing, and the sales. So they charge an administration fees that cover everything. And when they do that, they'll also be the one to take it to the market, sell, and they pay you. which I consider to be very, very impressive. The same thing is also applicable to the next generation farm that I advertised recently, and of course, I have a detailed video on it. I did an extensive interview with the farmer, the developer, and a lot of people said they wanted me to be on site so that I can give them a detailed information. By the first grace of God, tomorrow by this time, the video will be online, so you will see me on that farm. Now, why did I decide to work with these people? Basically, these guys have secured an insurance for the land. They have gotten an expert, and they have a transparency procedures that is similar to Palm Ridge. Now, for diasporan investors who may want to own any of this farm, will I recommend them? Now, the reason why I mostly say I recommend them basically is that I don't make recommendations on things I'm not involved in. I don't. I don't. So, like I said, I've been to Palm Ridge farms, at least some of their Lagos farm, and I've been to their Ibadan farm. And with what they have done, basically, you will know that these guys are experts in what they do. They know what they're doing. It's not somebody that has not done it before and that may want to use your money as an experiment. No, they've both done it before, and I can tell you that it is reliable. So, if you're an investor and you want to start making money from agro real estate, now the innovation I love about what Palm Ridge and Extra, the next generation farm, what they are both doing basically is the fact that they are taking the stress off you. Now, I also love a portion of their contract that clearly stipulates that if you want to buy the farm and you want to farm it yourself, that option is available. So that basically gives you a clear indication that these guys are not fraudulent and they don't have anything to hide. So you want to buy the land from them and you want to farm by yourself, you can do that. And if you want them to farm for you, basically, okay, you can also do that. However, this is what I recommend. Now, if you are venturing into agro real estate, now the cost of farming, the cost of cultivation is not expensive. However, there are many sides to it, which I will be explaining. So please pay attention to some of the things I want to say. Now, like I said, I've been doing a lot of research about the agro real estate since last year, and this is my conclusion. Now, if you want to go into farming full time, you can't afford to stay in wherever you are abroad and have people do your farm without close monitoring. That means, this is Africa where anything is possible. Now, this is not to scare you, but this is just to open you to the reality of what is obtainable here so that you can have an accurate understanding. So, if you choose to farm yourself and you are not available to supervise the activities of your farmers, to ensure that security are adequately put in place, to have a good insurance policy that covers in times of loss, I would say basically that you are walking on a tightrope. However, because the risk of losing or the risk of being frustrated is higher. And that is why sometimes I'll say if you are not in diaspora, get these companies to do it for you. So when you now start earning, you can now choose to use the money to acquire your own farmland, depending if you'll be available to fake up. Because you see, farming requires total concentration. So you cannot afford to be elsewhere while you are farming. Now, are there people who are in diaspora who are running successful farming? Yes, they are. They are. So I'm not saying that because you are not in Nigeria or you are somewhere else, you cannot run a successful farming. Yes, you can. But you see, you need to understand that there are some dynamics and some protocols that must be put in place. Okay. And before you can say you want to emulate those who have successful farming and they are not in the country, then it is very important that you understand their dynamics, read their protocols, and look at some of the guidelines that they have put in place for them to avoid any cases of what? Losses, whether present or future losses. So you want to understand their dynamics, you want to understand how they've been able to run a successful farm. despite the fact that they are not around. Now, if you are not exposed to some of the experiences, to some of their expertise, and to some of the fundamental things that they have done, and you choose to do farming by yourself, you may get hurt and you may lose investment. So, if you are investing and you want to take advantage of the Nigerian agro real estate as a beginner, and you are not based in company, is that you work with Palm Rich or you work with Palm, the next generation farm. It's too loud. So these are some of the things that I want to point your attention to. Now, how can I go into farming? You can either do it personally or get involved with companies that will do it for you. So that is the massive, massive advantage that the agro real estate offers. Now, someone asked me a question. When I was at the next generation farm, yes, I was in Abeokuta yesterday, and of course, you'll be seeing the video very shortly. Um, Maximum by tomorrow, you'll be seeing the video. Now, why agro real estate? I think I've explained that at the beginning of this video, but the point is that there's money in agriculture. See, if you understand what cocoa farmers, what palm oil farmers are making annually, if you understand that food is one of the fundamental needs, basic need of man, and what people are making towards exportation, sales, you will understand why Africa is, I would say, why Africa is mostly being regarded as raw material industry for the westernized countries of the world. So farming is not just lucrative. People have made billions of nairas, millions of dollars farming in Africa. So that is that. So I would just say one of the things you need to understand basically is that you have to start getting involved. Now, one thing I have come to realize basically is that a lot of people have their doubts. A lot of people don't understand some of these immense opportunities. And honestly, I honestly don't blame them. I honestly don't blame them. But basically, what I'll just say basically is that if you shut your heart towards a life transforming opportunity based on the fact that you have been duped or you have been defrauded in the past, is it is not a good thing. That's what I'll just say basically, because even I myself making videos, I've done some investments that it didn't turn out well, and I did not say because of the fact that it didn't turn out well, Africa is shit. Just like some people say, "Oh, this is Facebook language, please." Some people say Africa is this, Africa is that. Our people are not trustworthy. I'm not denying the fact that some people are not trustworthy, but you need to also understand that there are some people that they have integrity, and you just can't close your door to Africa because of bad and terrible experiences. So that is the point I'm trying to make. So what can you do? So let's look at the statistics. Last year, 1 billion was raised from the sales of palm oil. Also last year, a ton of cocoa sold between 13.5 million to 15 million per ton. Now, how is this um, money calculated? How do I determine one thing I make? Now, basically, if you are going into agro real estate, it is very important that you understand that the larger your farm, the larger the opportunities. Okay. Now, for instance, now let's say you want to make money. Now, 250 trees of palm oil has a stipulated return that you will get after harvest. The same thing is also applicable to cocoa, and that is why most of the company sells in acres and hectares. Now, it is very easier for them to determine your earning based on the acres and the hectares of land that you have. And the reason why I'm taking time to explain some of these things basically is due to the fact that I have seen, okay, some agro real estate companies that are offering unrealistic return on investment. Now, I made a video while I was explaining this, and one of the things I would say basically is that as lucrative as farming or as the agro real estate company may seem, I also need to understand, or I also need to explain that there are still some people who cannot be trusted. There are some people that I cannot trust my 100,000 in their care. So I will be very, very important. I'll be very, very as simple as I can. And also, I won't just come here to discuss the opportunities. I will also come here to discuss the disadvantages so that you can have a balanced overview of my conversation. Now, the reason why I said that I'm sticking with these two basically is that I've seen what they have done to safeguard your investment. Now, there are several instances whereby um, do people make losses in agro real estate? Yes, they do. They do. And that is why I have always advised for every real estate, excuse me, I've always advised, okay, for every real estate investor that cares to listen is that if you are going into agro real estate for the first time, don't invest in um, commodities that can be easily destroyed. And the reason why I'm saying this is due to the fact that there are some volatile crops that may subject to fail. Okay, I'll be going into that, and that is why I said palm trees has a lifespan of I think 20 35 years. The same thing is cocoa. Okay, so I would say basically that if you want to play safe, because you see, for every investment there are risks attached to it. So that was why I said I will not just come and talk about the good thing, because there are people who have come online to talk about good things, and today they cannot account to what they did with investors' money. So I'm giving a balanced, conversation here so that you can have an accurate understanding. Now, there are instances where there are risk. Okay, so that is why I always recommend palm oil. The risk is very, very minimal. Cocoa, the risk is also equally minimal because these trees have a lifespan of 20 to 30, 25 to 30 years. Okay, cassava, the risk is also very, very minimal. Coconut farming, the risk is very, very minimal. Which other one? I'm trying to recall as many as I can. Maize plantation, the risk is very, very minimal. Okay, now does that simply cancel every other agro real estate? No, it doesn't. Now you see, when it comes to investing in Africa, there's something you must understand as an investor. Now, no two investors are the same. Now, what I meant by this basically is that as investors, our risk appetite differs. Our risk appetite differs. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, now I've seen a lot of agro real estate development companies saying we are majorly into pig farming. Okay, we are majorly into livestock production. We rear birds, we rear turkeys, we rear chicken. Now, have people done this and they've been successful with it? Yes, absolutely, they have. And have people done it and they regretted for embarking on this? Yes, they have. Now, the point basically is that in a situation whereby you are just doing the agro real estate for the first time, it is very important that you start with investments that are low risk. Invest in farm that has low risk of what? Of damage. That's the point. And that was why I said basically that if you're going into agro real estate, it is very important that you choose a real estate developer that has adopted what we call transparency right from the start to the finish. It is very important we do this. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, okay, is due to the fact that we need to have an accurate understanding of how the industry works. So sorry, there's a message I want to respond to. Okay, all right. So I'll just continue from what I was doing. Apologies for that. Now, so I will go for an investment that they raise. So use it to test the waters. Now, as you begin to gain more ground, as you begin to understand the processes of farming, the risk, the opportunities, then from there you can now expand. You can now expand. That is how it works. Because you see, now like I said, our risk appetite differs. For me, for instance, I won't go into livestock farming for now. Why? Number one is that it is not just capital intensive. The risk of losses are there, and of course you cannot say you want to go into livestock production and you are not in that town, because there have been cases of farmers or people who are working in farms who steal. And I love the fact that there's a lot of innovation to it. A lot of people are beginning to put in CCTV camera. There's electricity, of course, solar. You can install solar so you can monitor what is going on in your farm. In a situation whereby somebody is trying to steal or something, you can monitor it. But if you it's a capital intensive thing, because you have to vaccinate your animals, you have to treat them. I know there's a lot that you just have to do. So I'll say I'll start with palm oil production. Though palm oil production has a lifespan of 3 years, the same thing also with cocoa. So you have to wait. It's not a rocket science. So, but what most companies do basically is that they intercrop. So while you are waiting for either your cocoa or your palm trees, there are some um, um, crops that are annual crops that they grow every year. So you can start earning from that. So I'm not going into details, but the most important thing is that by the time you are able to evaluate the available options, you can now choose the one that works. You can. So um, for that, you can ask questions. My number is always at every video. If you're a member of this channel, or okay, if you're a subscriber on this channel and you have seen my videos, you notice that there's no video I do that my numbers are not there. So in case you may have inquiries and stuff, you can reach out to me. So that is how to go about it. So you can start with something with minimal risk. As you begin to get results, then you can spread your risk. But the point is that if you're not ready to take risk, you have limited your potential of becoming highly successful in agriculture, because it's risk. You start from minimal, you increase it, and from there you begin to earn. So that's everything you need to know about the agro real estate. So what are the options that we have available in case you are interested? Okay, I know of Palm Ridge. They have a project, okay, also in Ogun State. Um, the price, I think 1 acre is being sold for 2.6 or 2.7. I'll confirm the price. And they also sell in hectares. Is it a good one? Can I invest? Let me tell you before you invest. When you buy the land, and now the thing is, we also need to explain the pattern of operation of these companies, because you see, I fear realtors, okay, who come online to share opportunities and they give half-baked information, and this has caused a lot of controversies. Now, let's say for instance you are buying into the palm rich, the oil palm, okay. Now, when you buy, they will not plant for you until you have finished their payment. Now, when they plant in nurseries. So the palm trees would have grown to an extent, okay, where they can withstand whether moisture, where they can withstand moisture, where they can withstand heavy wind and other environmental things that might be hostile to their development. It is at that nursery level that they are transplanted, and there are ways. So they have people on site that monitors every palm trees. Now, for every acres, there are a number of trees they plant on the acres, and it also take 3 years. So it's just like you are land banking for 3 years. Then after 3 years, you start um, earning from your plants. Now, what you earn is solely dependent on the number of acres or the number of trees that are planted on your land. So, the reason why I'm taking out time to carefully explain all of these things to you is based on the fact that I have seen instances whereby wrong narratives are being portrayed or are being explained, and it has caused a lot of things. Now, the reason why a lot of people say I didn't get this, was what they told me, this was what I got. Now, that is based on the fact that people who is portraying all these opportunities don't go into details. Now, the same thing is also applicable to the cocoa farming that we are doing. Now, it is when you have finished your payment that we start planting. Then after planting, it will take 3 years. Now, the difference between the palm rich and the next generation farm is that this next generation farm, they are intercropping it with plantain. So every year, or after every harvest, you stand a chance of earning 1 million, 1.2 on your acres of plantain. So from your first year, you will earn from next generation that is intercropping cocoa and plantation. For palm rich, it is after the third year when they have harvested and they start helping you to sell. So they have a revenue and expend a well detailed revenue generation. How much you be earning per acre, how much you be earning per, okay, they don't sell plots, how much you be earning per hectares. So it is very important you understand their terms and terminologies of sales before you go into. So I need to quickly explain that. So if you are okay with all these procedures that I've just explained, then it is good. So in case you want to do palm rich, the palm oil, or you want to do the cocoa, you can reach out to me. Okay. I would also go further to explain. So allocation, how soon do they allocate? Now, basically allocation is done in batches. Okay, so I also need to explain that. Now, when you are planting, or when you are investing, there are some things you need to know. Now, you need to understand that planting and harvesting is based on first come first basis. Now, for somebody like for palm rich, now they accept 12 months payment plan. Now, if you have subscribed for a 12-month payment plan, and after during your payments, some people have said, I've gotten my land, this is what has happened, don't expect to have the same harvest yield with somebody that paid outrightly or somebody that paid within 3 to 6 months. Because you see, if they don't follow this order, there will be rancor and disorderliness. And that is why I have also make time to explain that, see, it is when you finish payment that you can now say, where is my palm tree or where is my cocoa tree. So I need to quickly explain that as well, so that we will have an accurate information on how some of these things work. So I'll be taking a brief pause, okay, while I'll take questions. Okay, I'm taking a brief pause while I have questions. So for some of my investors who may have questions, my number is +234-802-132-7360. I'll take it again. If you are calling me or messaging me from outside the country, um, my number is +234-802-132-7360. So when you send me a message, I will explain how the whole thing works, and of course, I will guide you on how to invest. Now, a lot of people are saying, okay, fine. There are a lot of people advertising this palm bridge, advertising the cocoa, whatever. Now, you see, I've said it before, basically, that I am not your regular type of realtor, like the way many people have portrayed it. Me, if any developer want to do Chris, I'm available. Have lawyers. I have, so basically, when you are investing, more importantly, if you are not in the country, if you are investing back home, it is very important that you work with somebody that can fight in case something happens in the future. That is, but so for me, basically, we don't say after you have purchased, it is you and them. Rara o. We don't do that. So you can choose to work with someone who has direct link with the developer, who has direct link with the company, who is highly respected and does not take nonsense, than someone that after you've made purchase, you don't get to hear from them again. So on that aspect, you would have to make that decision. You definitely have to make that decision by yourself, okay? And you will decide what is best for you. So a lot of people say, am I advertising? Well, the thing basically is I follow through from the start to the end. It's stressful, but that's what we have signed up for, and that's what we do. And God will continue to grant us more grace and long life to achieve that. So that's the difference between. So I don't compare myself with others. I don't, basically, because I understand what needs to be done and how the industry should be treated. So that's just it. So I'm going to take questions. Then I'll be talking about some things recently. Now, I'll be talking about the rental opportunities in Lagos by the special grace of God tomorrow. But I'll be sharing this brief um, testimony from some of our investors. Now, 2 years ago, I advertised a property. I think I had an interaction with the developer, okay, Mr. Yemi of Yemuzil Property. And when we when we had that interview, the project was at the foundation level. In fact, there was nothing. How will I do it now? There was nothing like, how do I say it? It was more or less like the project was just starting, and a lot of people expressed their doubts. But after I've done, there's a way we determine if a developer is credible. There's a way we determine if a project will flop. There's a way we determine if the project is high risk, but it is worth it. So, to cut the long story short, I help some investors to invest. And as at the time we had that conversation, those men said, Adijare, you are the one we know. If anything happens at the end of this project, oh, you're responsible. I said, let's just trust God on this project because I have seen this. To the glory of God, last month, the property was allocated. As I'm talking to you right now, my two clients that bought into that project, my two clients that invested in that project got their first rent today. One got his own yesterday, the other one got his own today. Guess how much they collected for their two-bedroom apartment in Yaba? 5 million naira. Now imagine a scenario whereby they now have imagine they have like four of that apartment. That's 20 million naira cool cash. Okay, 20 million cool cash every year without lifting a finger. Now, the reason why I'll be talking about the rental opportunities in Lagos is that because of the fact that many people don't have a detailed understanding of how the market works, they don't understand that the industry, more importantly, larger part of the mainland and larger part of the mainland of the island puts you in a vantage position. More importantly, if you are investing. So details. I'll be going to details at the Future Grace School tomorrow. We'll be explaining the fundamentals, what determines rent, what are the basic risks. We were talking about, of course, we were talking about the risk. Yes, for everything you do in life, there is risk. Okay, the reason why two people are not the same, or the reason why two people will not be in the same asset category, is that their risk appetite are not the same. There are some people that will say, okay, fine, let's give this a shot, even when there is tendency of something might happen. And there are some people that will say, waiting go happen, we move through. So I'll be explaining the risk, I'll be explaining the opportunities. Now I'll be explaining how you can be part of it, because I've realized that some key three things are happening in Lagos. And if you have been following my channel, basically, you will have understood some of the things I might be saying tomorrow. But I'll be explaining some key things. And this is why it is very, very important that you are part of this YouTube and Facebook. You have to be part of this so that you can have an accurate understanding. Now, if you understand some of these things I'll be sharing by tomorrow, you have an accurate understanding. So I'm just going to take a brief pause while I await question. Okay, while I await question. And one of the things I'll also be doing very quickly is that I'll be giving some important promo and information as regards some of our projects um, on the mainland and also on the island. So I would also be briefing you on some project that you can key into and you can make good return on investment. All right, so I promise that today's session is going to be very, very short, and I intend to keep to that promise. And however, I would also be open to further questions and inquiry in case you have any. If peradventure you are not on this live session and you want to send me your questions and the likes, so you can do it to +234 802 132 7360. I'll take it again. +234 802 132 7360. That's my WhatsApp direct number. And you can also send it to my other alternative number +234 913 790 2625 2695. I'll take it again. +234 913 790 2695. So those are my two hotlines. They're also on WhatsApp. So in case you want to send me direct inquiry, a lot of people have may say, okay, I don't want to direct send it to the comment section because of my I want to because of my anonymity. Of course, that obviously is 100% respected. So you can send it direct to me. Okay, so this way I'm going to be drawing to this curtain of agro real estate. Before I go into what we'll be doing discussing tomorrow, I will just do a recap of some of the things I said. I'm looking at the rental opportunities. So I want to start by saying a very big thank you to everybody that joined this live session. I don't take your patience for granted. I love the fact that I get inquiries. I get, of course, I get a lot of recommendations, and of course, I get commendations from people as well. And you also don't understand what that means to me. It means a lot. It shows that my good work is being noticed by our people, and to also show my appreciation, I'll be hosting a live session where I'll be discussing some rental opportunities by tomorrow, by God's grace. And then for every investment, I'll be giving um, for some of my investors, I'll be giving free tickets to some shortlet apartments. So if you came to some of any of our projects, okay, whether on the mainland or the island, we'll be giving you a shortlet ticket. It's just for one deal, a Joe. So we'll be paying for your bookings for just a day. If you do multiple, we can negotiate 2 days. This is just to let you know that we appreciate your patronage, we appreciate your support, we appreciate your referrals, we appreciate your recommendations. These things are some of the things that keeps us going, and we intend to replicate or express our gratitude with this. So for every real estate investment that comes between now and December 12th, it will come with for any shortlets on the mainland, we'll be paying like if it's a 2 day shortlet, we'll be paying for one day. If you do multiple, we can say okay, let's just appreciate you. So that option is equally available as well. So I want to say a very big thank you to everybody. So let's do this by the special grace of God tomorrow. God bless you and bye.